Welcome, everyone, to the 13th episode of the Entrepreneur Empowerment series, where we will talk about business trends to watch. I'm Umaima Mushraf, and I'm very excited to be your host. I will start off with a quote. "The measure of intelligence is the ability to change," Albert Einstein. I believe that quote summarizes one of the most important things, the ability to change, to adapt to new trends, which takes us to the theme of today's session, business trends to watch. Now I'd like to welcome Rauzaba, digital marketing specialist from Potential.com, who will be sharing with you some of the tips, tools, and resources on how you can stay up to date with the latest trends through our platform.
Thank you, Umaima. Hello, everyone. This session, I'm going to share with you how you can stay up to date with the latest business trends through the platform of the SME Empowerment program. Most of you have already registered, but whoever didn't register yet, please go ahead and register now on potential.com/SME. A part of the resources, courses, experts, and offers that are brought together in the SME Empowerment program, there are different ways to stay up to date with the latest business trends. The first way is to attend our webinar series, which we call the Entrepreneur Empowerment series. These are weekly webinars where experts and fellow entrepreneurs are invited to share their expertise and the latest updates on a specific topic. We are now in the 13th episode, but you can go back anytime and watch the recordings of all previous episodes. To do so, you should go to the program's platform, scroll down to the section called Sample Program Content. In this section, you could either register for upcoming webinars or you could watch the recording of all previous webinars. The second way to keep up to date with the business trends is to check the Startup and SME News section. To find this section, you should log into your account. I'll log in now using my account. And then at your dashboard, scroll down to the bottom of the page. You'll find this section here, Startup and SME News. You could find here some highlights, and you can click on Access All News to see the latest news in the business industry. Last but not least, you could stay up to date by following the program's social media platforms, where we post about the latest trends and resources related to startups and SMEs. To find our handles on social media, you could either search for SME Empowerment Program on Instagram or on Facebook or Twitter, or you can scroll down at the bottom of this page, of the program's page, and click on these three buttons. You could also find us on LinkedIn for the company page Potential, and you could also find us subscribe to our YouTube channel for Potential, because it's here. There is another way to see the latest updates, which is the FAQ section. Just trying to remove the bar. Okay, here it is. So there is an FAQ section. You can find this FAQ section in your dashboard. At the header in your dashboard, you click on FAQ. In this section, you could either search for a topic that you would like to get updates on, or you could click on Ask a Question and add a topic you would like others to share opinions with you related to this topic. That's all from my side for this week. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and see you next week. Back to you, Umaima.
Thank you, Rauzaba. Now I'd like to welcome Shadi Bana, CEO of Potential.com, who will share his expert's view for today.
Thank you, Umaima. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Great to be with you again. So today we're going to talk about a few trends, actually 5 trends that I've handpicked for you that I think are really important and which are making a big effect and impact on businesses these days. So we're going to start with trend number 1. And trend number one is the growth of data. Data is the new oil. It allows companies to predict people's needs and interests better, as Facebook and Instagram and companies like that do, as well as Amazon, of course, Google and others. So they're great in terms of data collection is great for companies that are targeting consumers directly, but also they're great for companies that are targeting businesses or targeting to collect data from the sensors that they have all around their products and services to help them in improving those products and services. This trend is happening a lot with the Internet of Things, 5G coming in, where there are so many connected devices that will be streaming so much data out, over there, and the people and the companies that can harness that data are the ones that will benefit the most. So I even put data at a higher level in terms of a trend to watch than AI or machine learning, because those AI and machine learning tools will become a commodity provided by big players like Amazon Web Services, IBM, Microsoft, and others that are already providing, Google and others. They will allow you to use the AI intelligence, which will be very hard for small businesses to basically build on their own. But the key thing that is always going to be missing is the data. The data is the part that if you don't have it, you don't have access to that data, then the AI wouldn't really work well. So keep this in mind. In your business, we had a chat before the webinar started with a few of the entrepreneurs joining us on the webinar, where we were talking about the importance of you owning your data instead of having your interactions happen only on social media platforms, where the social media platform owns the data, the intelligence that is taking place. So keep that in mind. It's a very important trend that affects all businesses, whether it's consumer businesses, product development businesses, B2B businesses. Data is key, and that's a very important trend moving forward. Whoever has the best access to data will be able to better influence people and will be able to better evolve their tech services, products and services that they're offering. So that's the first trend. Now, the second trend, ESG. ESG is a term that is being used to summarize environmental, social, and governance movements that are happening everywhere. And this is mainly being driven by us as end users. We have become more aware as consumers that we want to have less harm on the environment. We know that there is a lot of harm being done to the environment, whether it's at the ocean level, whether it's at the physical level on land. And at the same time, we've come to really become cautious and not accept any kinds of biases. So we are embracing inclusion, we are embracing equality, because we now can see these more visibly and we can share our sentiment. This is why you see the Me Too movement, Black Lives Matter, all these kind of movements, and as well as the climate action movements are having a much bigger impact now, because everyone can voice their concerns live on social media and have a big interest, basically, big impact. So that's something to watch out for as well. This social movements and environmental movements, and that's gonna have a big impact on how businesses are operating and running, whether it's at the business diversity and inclusion within the business in terms of employees, or the businesses being providing products and services that have less harm to the environment. There was a very interesting event this week or last week where the soccer player Ronaldo had in front of him 2 Coca-Cola bottles put as part of Coca-Cola's sponsorship of FIFA, and he actually moved them on the side and said, drink water. Water is much better for you than Coke. That's a huge statement, and we're seeing much more elements like that happening that are forcing businesses to rethink their ESG operations and the way that they go about with ESG stuff. So that's a big trend that's going to affect businesses everywhere, affect investors and the like. Next is the third trend is digitization. So digitization, it's the theme of our SME Evolution program or empowerment program these days. We're focusing a lot on helping businesses digitize because digitization is key. You could see the movement of e-commerce. So we also had to chat with some of the entrepreneurs, how they're moving their businesses from traditional businesses to e-commerce businesses. The operations are moving online as well as people work remotely, and you need to do these hybrid working environments. But even things like virtual reality and augmented reality when it comes to retail experiences are things that are going to be a very important moving forward. You can see how ads have become much more efficient when they're put digitally. Automation is happening everywhere, and it's creating a lot of efficiency, in many cases cutting out the middlemen. And unfortunately, for some of these middlemen, I mean, you would imagine that middlemen would be only people that have a commission because they're facilitating a transaction, which is now totally can be bypassed because companies can deal directly with their consumers without the need of going through necessarily too many layers. But even think of middlemen when it comes to doctors. I mean, if you can now have these e-health tools surrounding us, there's a lot of intelligence, there's a lot of data we can capture about our health from tools that are available to us, and then from artificial intelligence that analyzes these tools. So even at the level of very sophisticated, high-end, providers of knowledge and information that used to be the gateways to that knowledge and information, like the example I'm giving in terms of doctors, in many cases they might be sidetracked because consumers have now got the insights in terms of what do they need to do, and through artificial intelligence, companies are able to analyze huge trends out there based on the data that they're collecting and be able to give some insights. So digitization across the board is, even after COVID, has been accelerated a lot. We've talked about this in so many sessions, but it's a trend that's going to continue to accelerate. And for that, you need to make sure you are at the top of that trend. You make sure that you've digitized your sales, your operations, because that's how you could basically be well prepared for the future that's coming. The fourth trend I want to talk about is content. Content, again, used to be only produced by, really expensive mechanisms. So you'd have Hollywood would be a big producer of content, but now you have content being produced by anyone, individuals, youth, anyone who's got something interesting to share can now become a very influential person through the content that they produce. And that content doesn't need to be expensive content. It could be really efficient, could be content that could be quite simply created on their phone. So content has become democratized in terms of content production has become democratized. And content has always had the theme, as there's a saying that says content is king. But the thing is these days that anyone can produce this content. And that's where, like we said, influencers can have a really big effect, even more than brands that have billions to spend on marketing would basically spend. So there's a great opportunity for creative talent these days, and whether it's individual artists that can create their own content, so musicians, artists that can draw, that can produce any kind of artistic work, and even now with NFTs coming up, and that trend, and we're going to have in the coming weeks a session specifically on NFTs, because that's a huge trend that will impact all businesses. Now, content can be also monetized in a very efficient and effective way through NFTs. And this is still a very emerging market, but it's going to mature over the coming year or so. And I would suggest for all businesses to really double down on content creation. If you are a farming business, create a blog post that has some farming tips. Go on Instagram and share some live stories from the farm talking about new tips and tricks that you've learned from the farm. it could be as basic as that. I chose farming as a even a small scale farm could produce content and that can become so trending and so much followed and had such a big influence. And it could be someone in the middle of nowhere, in a remote village somewhere, producing that kind of content and getting followed as much. So any business and every business should double down on content production, should have a creative team that is working on them, or the lead entrepreneur should get used to getting their face out there in front of their fans and their followers to build more content and build more followership. So that's the fourth trend. Now to the fifth and final one we're going to talk about today, and that is about change. So the theme is change, and the theme about trends is change. And like Umayma started off with the quote from Albert Einstein, change is the key thing behind everything we're doing. But what has changed, and there's another good, nice saying called the only constant is change. So we've always known that change happens. But what's different these days is the pace of change has accelerated and will continue to accelerate so much more. So for those people that don't embrace that change, they will quickly lose out. And this is why you're seeing a big gap in inequality. And that's going to continue to increase, because for people that don't embrace the trends, specifically when it comes to technological trends, the digitization trends we were talking about, and other things like that, if you don't embrace it, you're going to be left behind. And that's going to be a big, big challenge for people. So the pace of change is continuously accelerating, and it's only going to accelerate even further, because you could see how access to knowledge has become available to everyone. We all have at our fingertips any piece of knowledge that we sort of think about. Any question we have, we can immediately find the answer to it now. So the amount of learning that is happening is astronomical. And that learning is getting translated into new innovations, new creative outcomes, new ways of doing things. So knowledge is accelerating across the whole population, the whole world, and that is making the pace of change accelerate much faster. And there's no stopping it. It's just going to continue going. So embrace the change. Make sure that you're leading the change in your own space, in your own field. Keep up to date with what's happening, with the trends that are taking place, because you really need to stay on top of any changes that are taking place and lead that effort that is happening. So that's it from my end. And again, there are lots of things to talk about, lots of trends, but I just chose these 5 main trends because they summarize what is taking place, and they are also all trends that you can tap into right now, whether you're a startup, a small business, or even a large business. These are the trends that you can immediately get on board with and be part of the trend maker as you go forward. So we wish you all the best moving forward. And
Thank you, Shadi, for sharing what some of the most important trends are. Moving on to the Did You Know and Newsworthy section, where we share useful insights and news that we hope will help you spot opportunities for your business. To get started, McKinsey's most recent consumer survey, published in late October, found that countries with older demographics, such as France, Italy, and Japan, are less optimistic than those with younger populations, such as India and Indonesia. China was an exception. It has an older population, but is conspicuously optimistic. As consumer confidence returns, so will spending, with revenge shopping sweeping through sectors as pent-up demand is unleashed. However, the bounce back will likely emphasize those businesses, particularly the ones that have a communal element, such as restaurants and entertainment venues. During the COVID-19 crisis, one area that has seen tremendous growth is digitization. And one of the ways to predict future trends is to look at where investors are investing. Modern startups are clearly gravitating towards the internet and digital technologies, as more have started to operate in the fintech industry, artificial intelligence, gaming, ad tech, and ed tech, according to Statista. Disruption creates space for entrepreneurs, and that's what's happening in the United States in particular, but also in other major economies. This time, though, there is a veritable flood of new small businesses. In the third quarter of 2020 alone, there were more than 1.5 million new business applications in the United States, almost double the figure for the same period in 2019. For instance, the new wave of biotech startups. The biotech industry is already valued at $295 billion, and that number may grow in 2021 as DNA analysis becomes more widestream and advanced. Sustainable finance is another great example. It is the practice of investing with environmental and social returns in mind. This concept is becoming increasingly mainstream, and as Bloomberg reports, the field is valued at $30 billion. Many related searches under this umbrella term are growing along with this emerging startup trend. As investors broaden their definition of return on investment, ROI, startups will look to prove more than just their revenue trajectories. And that's all from my end. Now, for this week, we have Medina Beganovic, our guest in our entrepreneur segment. Medina is the founder and managing partner in Via Media. Medina, welcome.
Hi, thanks a lot for having me, and I'm really excited to be here and actually to share a bit more about tools and models of actually how we help our clients create new trends, products, and services that I really hope you can find inspiring and relevant. So yeah, I'm Medina. I'm managing Via Media Dubai office while we have several other offices around the globe. So we as a creative agency, what we're lately been focusing on is very interesting and for me personally very exciting. So besides the traditional agency model that focuses on storytelling aspect of companies and businesses / the communication, what we've been developing for the past 2 years and actively working on with our clients is actually the story doing aspect or business design, how we love to call it. So business design is a crafted methodology and business model for a systematic innovation. It is an effective and innovative way of tackling from little to highly complex business problems. It is the synergy of business and creative thinking that focuses on people needs and people aspect rather than focusing purely on just business aspect / economical aspect. So for the first time, in the agency world, we are blending experts from different fields to work together on new innovations. So for example, in our brainstorming rooms next to the agency team of creatives, copywriters, strategists, we're now adding the teams of designers, product designers, software engineers, behavioral scientists, and then all of those people and experts from different fields are working together on tackling the challenges of our clients and then creating a new solutions, a product or a service. Business design does not always stand for a radical, dramatic change in business models. Usually it's quite enough if we, with our products and solutions, help client to quickly adapt to changes that are happening in business environment. Business design and story doing actually helps us turn problems and challenges into actual business opportunities. And together with our partners, we help our clients to design the future of their business. So long story short, since I can talk about hours on this topic, but I'm very limited to only 5 minutes, I'm just gonna briefly try to explain you how do we do this and how this model converts into an actual practice. So what we're doing is that we're trying to come up with the products and solutions that are highly desirable from a human point of view. But from the client sides, this needs to be technologically feasible and economically viable. So to achieve business design in practice, our solutions and products need to have each of the following. First of all, what we come up with needs to be technically feasible, meaning that it can be developed into a functional product or a process. Second of all, it needs to be economically viable, meaning that the business actually, our client can afford to implement this idea. And third, the most important is that it needs to be user desirable. So we need to make sure that once we create this product or service, there's going to be an actual human need for it. Business design is for everyone, for startups, for SMEs, for multinational companies. But actually what we believe is that SMEs can benefit from business design the most, since they're the most agile and flexible. So business design can really help them use their current resources in developing something that would be really desirable by the potential audience. I would also like to share a few of the principles behind our work that are very important and that actually enable us to work on this. The first one, of course, is the collaboration, which is actually gathering diverse variety and encouraging multidisciplinary teams to work together. Second is the ideation. We really dare our team to come up with as many ideas as possible. It's a judgment-free zone. There's no stupid idea. We value each and every idea. And then, of course, experimentation, which is actually converting some of the selected ideas into prototypes and testing it for the user feedback. We really look for clients that are really motivated to change and transform. We look for clients that are not scared of change. We love working with clients who look at problem as a new chance, as a new business opportunity. And at the end of the day, together, we learn from those clients and they learn from us. Few examples of business design and what we've been developing, particularly during the pandemic. One of our clients is has a beauty line of products. So when the pandemic started, there was really low supply of hand sanitizers. So this the beauty brand actually was able and had the capacity to produce the hand sanitizers. So together we came up with the idea and we developed a completely new product line that was highly needed at that moment. Another example of business design and what we're working at the moment is that we are working with a company that specializes in fit out and interior design, and they have a full in-house production capacities. So what we figured together is there's a lot of waste material after each and every new product once they produce new fit outs for new clients. At the end, there's a lot of waste left. So we figured that we can use this waste to actually develop a new product, which at the end would be a new revenue stream for the client. So again, just a few examples. But yeah, we're so excited for the coming period and a lot more exciting things to share. So I really hope you found the insights on business design inspiring, and feel free to reach to me if you have any further questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Medina. And now I'd like to welcome Daria, Project Manager at Potential, who will be taking a look at some of your views.
Hi, everyone. We heard from Shadi about the change. We heard from Umayma about different trends. We heard from Medina. And now it's actually the time for us, to hear from you. Just give me a second. So, which areas are you looking to invest into? you can select more of them. We heard about several of them. Artificial intelligence is being one of them, financial and payment technologies, marketing and advertising, which Medina was talking about, and of course, environment and sustainability. Also, any other things that you are looking into. And Shadi spoke about the digital transformation. So which stage do you find yourself at? Are you happy where you are? Are you already implementing your plan? Or do you maybe need help? I'll just give you some more time. And I'm really hoping you found our session today inspiring and full of information. I can see already that a lot of you are opting into investing into environment and sustainability, which is great. I'm just going to give you a few more seconds before I finish it. So I'll just let you know, like as said before, environment and sustainability is one of the areas that you really look into investing into, which is 70% of you responded for that. The second one is marketing and advertising. Medina was talking a lot about it. I hope you liked her part. And you can always reach out to us if you need any help in that area. The next ones were financial and payment technologies, along with artificial intelligence, which were 20% of the answers. And most of you, 50%, are finding yourself in the stage where you need help. Again, you can always reach out to us in that sense. And we're happy for all of you who are 40% that you are already implementing your plan. We can again be of help if you need us in that area. And 10% are already happy where you are. So thank you so much for sharing your views with us. And of course, you can log into our website, or you can reach out to us if you need any help. And back to you, Umayma.
Thank you, Daria. And thank you everyone for attending today's webinar. And we look forward to seeing you next Tuesday